Hello everyone, Nadeem here with PC.Solutions.Net. You've probably heard me say this before, but I think I need to go over it one more time just to make things as clear as mud, so they say. So, assume breach. What does that mean? So, we run on the principle of assume breach. Basically, a breach is going to happen. It's only a matter of time. You need to prepare for that breach. You need to prepare, you need to identify, and then you need to mitigate and recover. So there are certain things that you have to have in place. What to do during a breach. The question to ask, everybody should ask these questions of themselves, is do you have a playbook, a plan, a set of procedures to follow when a breach occurs? Because it's not if a breach will occur, it's when a breach occurs, when a breach will occur, because it's going to happen. And that's the principle we work on. We assume breach. We, all the different steps that we put in place for whether it's just entry-level help desk or whether it's a tech 3 engineer, everybody works on that principle that we assume breach. We have a set of processes, procedures that we follow. A lot of times you will notice as you develop these procedures internally is a lot of the things that have to be done are really not technical in nature. They are, some things are legal things. There are some administrative components. There are a lot of people components. So it's not technology, but people that are very important in a situation like this. Bottom line, you need to have a playbook for a few major categories of your technology stack. So, for example, you need to have a set of procedures, what to do when there is a breach. You have to have a set of procedures, what to do when there is a disaster. And this second one, when there is disaster, based out of Houston, we saw this firsthand just recently during the freeze. There were customers who just were not prepared. They were not ready for it. They had power outages. They had on-prem servers. They didn't have any kind of plan written down what to do. People were scrambling. Somebody in accounting didn't know what to do, so they were calling the CEO or the president. Some other department didn't know what to do. They were calling the CEO or president. People maybe in the assembly line or in the workshop didn't know what to do. They were calling the accounting department because that's who they usually worked with. The CEO or president was calling us because they didn't know what to do. And this example that I gave you, it's a real world example, and it happened to a manufacturing concern. And this concern is not even in a contract. So we're not even in a contract, but we were getting calls throughout the week, after hours, text messages. Hey, this is happening. What should we do? Hey, we can't get to the system. Hey, so-and-so needs to get access to the system. They were not set up. This is all on top of when we recommended that we migrate certain systems to the cloud, and they were not ready for that yet. And all of a sudden this disaster hits, and now nobody knows what to do, and it's just a haphazard approach. That's when things really start to fall apart. And that's why now a disaster is not as bad as a breach, because during a disaster you have an issue, it's right then and there. You're not going to feel long-term shock waves or after effects of that disaster. Let me explain. So the way a breach is different from a natural disaster is that when a breach occurs, the data usually that the breach impacted is exfiltrated out of your organization. So now the data goes into the hands of the bad guys. So even if you correct the breach and secure your systems, that data over time can be leaked to the public. It can go on sale on a bunch of these forums, on the dark web, whatever have you. And we've seen this happen in the past, where somebody reaches out to us, but the damage has already been done. And then since they don't have any process in place, they didn't know what to do. In the process of mitigating the attack and getting their systems back online, they ended up destroying vital evidence of the breach. And it can have legal ramifications down the line. If customers' data is exfiltrated and that goes on sale 2 months, 3 months down the line, now that customer can hold the company legally responsible for that data that was breached. And it can come back and haunt you. I mean, we've seen situations where the cyber insurance carriers of the client got involved, and they want to recover from the client where they have the breach. Now, this is, I say a client, so this is somebody who reached out to us to help them. And in a situation like that, we will normally refuse because it's already too late. We're coming in too far down the line. We can't really do much. What we want to do is get engaged before the breach, ahead of time, so we can have systems in place so we are prepared, so we can detect, so we can protect and recover. If somebody reaches out to us after the breach, it's already too late. So I just wanted to send this message out to everybody. Be prepared. Make sure your playbooks are ready. They're written down. Different roles know what they're supposed to do in case something like this happens. The reason I bring it up is because it's getting more and more important now. We are seeing an escalation in breaches. I mean, there's firewalls that get hacked left and right. There's like the SolarWinds breach that happened, the SolarWinds modules that are in use at a lot of different systems that are now susceptible. Not to mention, Windows by itself, Adobe. I mean, there's just so many different things. So that's why I say assume breach. That should be your approach. Breach is going to happen, so you need to be prepared. Anyway, with that, give it some thought. We can probably help with some templates if you need some templates, but you need to really look deep into the process and procedures of what to do to prepare for if when a breach happens, and what to do when it happens, so everybody knows what needs to happen. With that, everybody have a good day, and be safe out there.